DNVR Broncos live, coming to you from Studio A here at the DNVR Bar, where the A stands for
Alabama, baby. AM pod, morning
AM.
pod.
That's good. We've used that one before.
St. Pat.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do, but then I knew you guys would just crush me for that.
No.
Day.
I figured just saying nothing.
It might be time for a new bit.
No.
I mean, if we can't find A words, if we used them all.
Well, it's the problem is the current events don't line up with A words. It's not our fault.
I mean, there's rarely current events.
Agency? Did we use that one yet?
We've used agency, yep.
Agents. Yeah, you could use that.
Sure. Okay, and now are we talking about the agents?
Hank's done with this.
That's the second word.
Money affair, that is.
If you want to just say affair, go right ahead, except it doesn't make sense.
Affair, do we think today's a big day for that?
I would like to go to
St.
a fair.
Patrick's Day? I would assume
A fair.
I would assume holidays probably spike those things.
Wait, which affairs did we take? Because I was talking about the one I think you're talking about, but then Hank
Was
went
talking
the
about going to a fair.
11-year-old
Like a Ferris
route.
wheel.
Yeah.
Oh,
A Ferris wheel.
a Ferris wheel
which
at
you
a
can find
fair.
at a fair.
Yeah.
You could probably find affairs at a fair too.
I would assume so.
Wow.
Oh, is that how they say Ireland in Ireland?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that would be a good one.
See, because that actually makes sense. Because Ireland, the land of ire, what the hell does that mean? Ireland, land of air. We all know what air is.
I don't think. Yeah.
So you got like Iceland and Ireland.
Yeah, exactly. You just need landland.
Call it Chicago Windland.
Henry, where's your green?
Underneath.
Oh, he came prepared. Okay.
I don't like the calendar telling me what to do.
Well, it did.
Actually,
you followed it.
because I like following the calendar more than people saying all day, "Where's your green?" So I guess I should take the jacket off.
Is that why
Otherwise,
you're
I
always
just
wearing white after Labor Day?
see. I just don't even understand all this stuff.
That one is stupid.
That one's
I will
stupid?
say. But Ryan's already annoyed Henry. I've already annoyed Henry. You hear?
Wow.
You're up. It's time for you to annoy Henry at
is
some point this
perpetually
pod.
annoyed by
That is true.
That's true.
What did you
He
call me?
instantly shut it
Hankathan.
down.
Hank
Which is not
Yeah.
where Hank comes from.
no.
It's not, but it's a bit. Like, you can call anybody Zac thing. Riot thing. Like, it's
Right? I don't know.
Oh,
Maybe not right.
Is this like an ode to Rome?
no.
To like Roman? No.
It's like Nathan to me. Like, you're just adding something.
Oh,
Instead of Nate, you're Nathan.
you hear thin?
You hear thing.
That doesn't work.
No,
Yeah.
that one really doesn't work.
Real, like,
St. Patrick's thin?
Oh, hey, Saul. I'm surprised Saul is awake.
Doesn't have anything else to do.
Thought he would have had a long night last night drinking away the sorrows of Arizona going out in the first round.
My goodness. Did that make you guys the most money?
By the way, I'm sorry, Saul. I got to do you this way. Someone got him good on Twitter. He said, like,
Oh,
I
God,
need a
yeah.
drink. And they quote tweeted and said, you can only have one round.
Oh,
I was
yikes.
dying.
That is tough. Oh, man.
Especially like because after spending 3 years covering Pac-12, I'm just a Pac-12 fan. I like seeing all the Pac-12 teams do well. Like they're fun. I like all the players and stuff. But then we took the underdogs thing, and so now it's like, no,
Got to root against everyone.
I can't even feel bad for Saul because I just flipped. I don't even care about Arizona anymore.
And Princeton wasn't even going to make the tournament if they didn't beat Yale in the championship game, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can beat Yale, you can beat anody.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yale was favored, too.
Yeah, I actually missed the game, which is sad because I was doing something up in Boulder. But
Damn.
apparently, yeah, I can't believe they had the defense. Like, that's what everyone was talking about, is their defense.
Wasn't that a plus 800 win for you?
Yeah, and so I'm a little worried about this.
Oh.
Because-
Already? No. You said yesterday you just got to power through some days.
Oh, you do. We won yesterday.
Yep.
Yeah.
But what worries me is that we got a 15 over a 2. Last year, that was worth plus 1,400.
Yeah.
And I think they realized that it's a little more likely and brought us down. So, like, we weren't really carried by that win as much as you would like to be.
Well, I could not believe when I saw the DNVR bets wrap up that
Yep.
Furman was only plus 200.
Yep.
What?
I know they were terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing that a little
terrible.
birdie told me was that talk to birds. Is that all the 1 seeds won all the conference tournaments, and so the field is like surprisingly good this year.
Yeah.
Like typically it's like, oh, the whatever the
I know who
swack.
told you that because they told me it. Too.
Yeah, the birdie's named Edgar. Yep, it's Edgar. Edgar the birdie. But that means that like as he was saying, like all 15 seeds are kind of like 12 seeds, and so basically the sports books are like, well, that's actually a pretty good team. They have a real chance to win, and so the juice isn't as good. But in theory, that means we should be hitting more of them.
Yeah. Also today, there's a little more diversity in terms of the odds. Like yesterday, it was like you're either like plus 100,
Yeah.
plus 200. There was that one plus 800,
Yeah.
and then like plus 2,000 or whatever on the 16s.
Yeah.
Today there's like some plus 300s, some plus 400s. Hit a couple of those. Will be good.
Turns out
it's-
that Missouri game was big.
It was
Basically,
big.
why we wound up with a profit.
Well, that and Penn State. Penn State looked like a wagon.
I know.
Oh my gosh! Being on the other side of that, I
Oof.
decided to roll with A&M, and it was awful. That number 22 on Penn State. Why doesn't he just back everyone down every single play?
Because then he throws it out to that
That's true.
knockdown three-point shooter.
8 of 10.
Yeah, just nailing everything.
Oh,
that reminded
man.
me of honestly the Buffs win over Georgetown a couple years ago, where just like they didn't miss a shot in the first half and the game was over.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Anyways, I saw Saul say I thought we were friends. Sorry, Saul.
Yeah, we were.
We
But
only,
he's continuing to tune in.
we're only friends with underdogs.
Yeah.
I love this comment, but not gonna put it up.
Oh God. Anyways,
I thought Zach needed a little boost.
Thank you, Yahir. I like that, Tiff.
that bit's been going on for so long.
Wow.
But speaking of Saul, aren't we friends of ASU today?
We
They've
are.
got to be
Sorry,
underdogs.
Saul. Sorry.
Oh
again.
yeah, that
Yeah.
is. That is.
I guess Saul is probably
Kind of his
pro
program.
ASU,
Yeah, I would think so.
Via PHNX.
Would you be pro CSU if they were playing today? You're wearing green.
I played the fifth.
I know, that's Montana State today. Because luckily that's a later game, but I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. Because I came into this saying, okay, Big Sky schools, regardless of who it is, they lose by 40 every time they make it to the tournament. That's just what happens. They suck. They're terrible. And when it's Montana State, how do I not take an alternate line for them to lose by 25? So I'm almost thinking that I do that and take the upset, even though I know that's not going to happen, and then just hope I don't get middled.
That's probably a bad play.
Yeah,
Montana
a
State
middle
is
would
terrible.
probably be what would happen. I would say, why don't you tell that to Alex Singleton's face? But you already did, so
Yeah.
I give you credit for that.
Yeah, they're terrible. They're terrible.
All right. Let's jump into the Broncos here.
Let's go, baby.
We'll talk more March Madness in an hour when the game's tipped.
Yes, we will.
Court and Jerry. We've talked a lot about them
Yep.
over the last week or so, and
Yep.
to me, it really felt like something was going to happen. Mm-hmm. Just feel like these situations come up all the time. This one felt pretty real.
Yep.
Mike Klis, though, putting an end to the fire, dousing the flames.
This is what Mike Klis said last night. He said, while lots of teams have called on Broncos wide receivers, Jeudy and Sutton, including some who have been aggressive, it doesn't appear Denver is interested in moving them per source. Jerry emerged at the end of the season, and there's hope Sutton will return to 2019
What the-
form. Ugh. There is optimism throughout football side. Both will thrive under one of the game's best play callers. So there's a lot there. Definitely a what the F. And then what do you guys make of this?
I think it might. Well, it could just be the end.
Okay.
Like, that could just be the normal, reading of it, or it could be the Broncos last little shake of the pan. Like, are you sure you guys don't want this? I think we're good. We're pulling them back. They're coming off the table just to see if someone else says, "Oh, okay. I'll give you what you want."
Yep. I think they're pulling them off the table, but I also think that a week before the draft, all of a sudden there might be a little bit more buzz. Because I think that if you trade them right now, it's so that you can just go get a replacement. That's why trading them right now makes sense. The replacements are basically off the board. You can go get Mecole Hardman, but when a guy gets 500 yards when he's working with Patrick Mahomes, you can't really expect him to fill in and be a big contributor. So I think that around draft time, maybe things circle back. But I do think this is the end for now.
Am
I
I
don't-
crazy for thinking Patrick Mahomes doesn't throw many 9 routes?
Yeah, that would be great.
That's
But I
kinda
think
crazy.
I feel like I
might
don't
be
see
right.
them just go straight vertical that often.
Yeah,
It's deep overs and things like that. But I feel like that's what Mecole Hardman might excel at. Is just, hey, run straight until you run past someone, and we'll throw it to you.
Very, very much so, yeah. But I don't take this Mike Klis report as that they're gone or that they're going to be staying. Not at all. I take it as the Broncos trying to get a little more leverage. And credit to them, I do think this report says that they weren't just going to take a discount and they weren't just going to give these players away. And I think that's pretty clear now because we've seen reports for 3 weeks now, and then really heating up in this past week. Of course, Courtland Sutton tweeted it out that he wants to be somewhere, so he was obviously seeing these rumors as well. But the Broncos didn't just end up giving Jerry away for a third. They didn't just end up giving Courtland Sutton away for a fifth just to deal him. So I think this report points to that, but then I also think it points to Mike Klis didn't say, like, they're now talking about contract extensions for both of these guys, or like they are fully committing to them. He said it doesn't appear Denver is interested in moving them per source. I think both of those things, the per source and then doesn't appear to be moving them, are interesting. I think this is the Broncos publicly saying to teams that we're not giving them away. So if you want them, you're going to have to give us the demand or what we're asking for. And then on top of that, 5 hours before, Benjamin Albright put out a report saying that the Broncos are looking for a first for Jeudy or a second and a player, kind of showing that they're willing to move around, but they want kind of that first value there. I don't think things change within 5 hours of, we're open to, dealing a little type of different with you than to just saying that they're done. So I think that they are still on the table, but credit to the Broncos, they're not just going to give them away for cheap.
I was trying to think of like what's a player that could be included in this deal that would move the needle in the right way for me, and I was just like striking out.
Yeah,
I couldn't think of like, unless it was a receiver, which I don't expect it to be, but I mean maybe it could be. And then I was like, I couldn't even think of like, well, who's trading a one and a good receiver for Jerry Jeudy? Like it's probably not that. I was just like, I could not dream up what this trade would look like.
Yeah. I think it would be a number 4 receiver.
That would be
think it would be a receiver.
I think it have to be one of your top 3. Otherwise, you're just going and drafting a receiver anyway. It needs to be somebody who, like, you can say, oh, we're bumping Tim Patrick and Courtland Sutton up, but we still have 3. Otherwise, you're just drafting a receiver in the second.
Who would it be?
Because you don't. I mean, that's a tough part. I think I go
DeAndre Hopkins, but like no way.
Right.
No, not for that price, probably. You wouldn't expect, but who knows where he's going to wind up. I was thinking corners, because you still could say we can upgrade on Damari and still get Damari on the field enough.
Okay.
So,
and then you're getting that second to go draft a receiver?
Yep. And just praying that guy can crack your rotation. But in terms of names, I don't know. I got to keep looking before I pick one.
I think there's one more thing to this as well. We saw Courtland 1 week ago come out publicly, and what was the tweet? It said, like, I want to be where I'm
loved.
Yeah, and appreciated, right? Yeah. And the Broncos need to do some damage control. We haven't seen anything from Jerry yet, but I'm sure he's seen the trade rumors out there.
Good job, Jerry.
Very good. Stay strong. And with Court, it is he is frustrated or annoyed or sad or angry with the situation. This is some damage control, because I think the Broncos understand we may not get what we're asking for either of these guys. They both may be back this year. So we need to start putting these things out here to try to mend the relationships with these guys while also keeping the door open. And I think that's what Mike Klis' tweet did a very good job of, was, okay, we're going to keep you guys, but also, hey, you want to give a 1 for Jerry? Come get him. You want to give a 3 for Courtland? Come get him right now.
I don't think that anyone in the world should hope that anyone that they know is getting back to their 2019 self.
That's the WTF part. It's very true.
Like, pre-pandemic, we're just none of us are ever getting back to our pre-pandemic selves.
Man, how long ago does that seem when you put it that way? Before the pandemic hit. A year before.
It's unfathomably long.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously that 1 year felt like 10.
Yeah.
So it makes it feel even longer, but 2019 self, we're talking about people's 2019 selves in 2023.
I really, really hope that's PR and not actually how they feel / what they're banking on.
If you said, I hope he gets back to his 2021 self,
sure,
that'd be like, okay, well, there's one gap year in between there that things were off.
I can buy it.
Plus, he's been getting worse.
Yeah.
Just give him a couple more cheeseburgers and you'll get there.
That's bad.
Yeah.
That's just silly to put out
I just don't think 300 more yards for Courtland Sutton this year is that crazy. Like, you don't...
I thought that last year.
Oh, yeah, you did. But also, that was Nathaniel Hackett instead of Sean Payton. And, I think that Sean Payton alone is probably worth half of that. I think that's probably the expectation. Then you just need to bring in 2 deep balls. Or...
Brandon Cooks in a second? I could see that.
Or turn some of the pass interference calls into catches. That would be the other half.
Well, and I guess from a yardage standpoint, I think Courtland could probably get there just because of the offense. But when I think of Courtland's 2019 self, I'm thinking of like a feeling, which is like, oh, this guy's dominant.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that we're ever getting that back.
Because I think that Courtland Sutton 2019 season, while he did have 1,100 yards, if we were to put, he was also playing in a bad offense with bad quarterback play. If 2019 Courtland Sutton were put in this offense that you think, I think we're thinking like 1,400 yards or 1,500 yards. Because I agree, he was dominant that season. He was dominant at 50-50 balls. Those really were like 80-20 balls.
I mean, those diving catches, the one-handed catches in the end zone.
Yeah. So then to bring it, so I think that this year, if we're saying 1,100 yards, it's still a drop off of what he was in 2019.
Right.
Significant.
And even again from the yardage, I'm not even thinking of it. I'm just thinking of the way he looked on the field, which was explosive and really difficult to defend. And it would be surprising to me if all of a sudden he just looked that way again.
And the thing is, typically you have, and I think we've done a good job as we've continued to cover the team of saying, okay, if a guy's coming off an ACL, don't expect him to be 100% himself that following year. But the year after, he should be. Well, we're not talking about this being that year after. We're talking about this being the third year after the injury coming up. And we saw a full year last year where he had 2 touchdown catches in that season and just did not look like that.
Yeah, I don't know. The one thing that's missing is just the jump balls. Like, everything else, I think he has back.
But that's like his game.
Oh,
when
definitely.
You think of Courtland, you think of
Again,
that.
and we've talked about this
the
before.
Only thing
but
Jordan's missing is the mid-range jumper.
Yeah, but if he gets 2 more of those last year, all of a sudden we're saying like, oh yeah, there you go. There they were. He was 3 away, 4. It's not that far off. And when you're talking about such a small sample size thing, I don't know. It's the same thing as if like a good 3-point shooter plays 3 NBA games and goes 2 for 17, and you're just like, wait, oh no, does he suck now?
But no, because we're not just talking about like a couple games last year. We're talking about a full season, but then also the season before
but
that
again,
too.
like in terms of the total opportunities.
I don't think he was like 3 away. I think Courtland is supposed to be a guy that's catching realistically one of those every other game.
But then he's going for 1,600 yards, 1,500 yards.
I don't think so.
Like, those are huge chunk plays.
I just did not see
He would have been an
him
all-pro
being
if he
that.
did that. Okay. I mean,
So let's just say on average they're 40 yards, and you get 8 additional ones of them. That's another what?
400 yards.
Less.
A little less.
Yeah.
320.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I mean,
So then he's at 1,100.
and the other thing about getting back to the 2019 numbers is now there's competition for catches. Like, he has Jerry Jeudy and Tim Patrick in that room. No other Broncos receiver in that season had 400 receiving yards. Like, Emmanuel Sanders was sitting there in the 360s.
That's so bad.
So when you get to just be that pure only option, you're getting thrown the ball over and over again, regardless of results. The numbers get inflated because of that.
I can remember one moment last year where I thought, wow, Court is balling. And it was week 2 against the Texans in the first half. And I was like, oh my God, they should just throw to him every time. I can't remember another time I felt that way.
Yeah, I agree. I'm right there with you. And you said something about expectations, and we've had 1 or 2 people in the comment section saying, I hate these receivers. I don't at all. But The Broncos have the third most money invested in their receiving core this year. Third most.
Yep.
So my expectations are, I think realistically, I knock them down, but this should be a top 10 group, a top 7 group, and I just don't feel like they've lived up to that, but I do hold them to the standard of being a really, really good group, and maybe I should knock those standards down, but when you're paying guys to be and you're not even paying Jerry yet, when you're paying a group to be the third, when you have the third most money invested in that group, they should be really, really good. And so is Courtland Sutton a bad receiver? Of course not. He's an 900-yard guy. But I expect, with the contract he has, for him to be better than that. Tim Patrick obviously injured last year. He's the best third receiver in the game, if he's not just a number 2 or a number 1. And then Jerry Jeudy, we know his potential is off the charts, and we saw it at the end of last year, but we've never seen a full season from Jerry put together. So I guess that's just where I am with this conversation of wide receiver. They need to be really, really good as a group.
But again, like Jerry, you just look at the numbers, and he's an average number 1 receiver in terms of just total production last year. You look at Courtland, and he's a really good number 2 receiver or a low
Jerry
end.
Wasn't Jerry like bought 22nd or something?
I guess, yeah. So he's 21, but again, in front of him, there's a couple guys who double up. So if you're looking at the average for number 1 receivers on teams, he's probably at like 18 or 19, which again, maybe a little below average. Courtland Sutton, 31 among receivers. Again, there's a couple other number 2s in front of him, but for number 2 receivers, he's in a good place. You look at the money, just the average salary for contracts, and you're basically getting what you're paying for. If anything, you're getting a little more than what you're paying for with Courtland Sutton. Like, the guys around him are not outperforming him. Like, that's just what receivers who get 800, 900 yards, which I think kind of gets discounted here because you had Demaryius Thomas, who's putting up 1,000 every year. You had the Peyton Manning years, but most teams, yes, definitely most teams don't have 1,000-yard receiver. You know, and that doesn't mean you should.
I don't think that's true. Aren't
think
there like
that's true.
20,000-yard receivers in the NFL?
Yeah,
about
but
each year?
again,
so that's
like,
most teams do have 1,000-yard receivers.
Some
but
teams have 2.
they double up. So again, you have like the Bills. No, I guess
probably
Gabe
like
Davis came
50-50.
short. Exactly. So again, you're just not that far off from expectation. And then you throw in the fact that it was Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson, the worst combination of a coach and quarterback potentially in the NFL last season. You could make the case. I don't think they're as bad as you do.
I think the difference is our expectations are just very different. I'm holding them to very high expectations, and you're giving them the benefit of the doubt and excuses, reasonable excuses, benefit of the doubt. And I just have done that already, like 2 or 3 years now. So I'm over that.
What I'm worried about is putting too many eggs in the Tim Patrick basket. Not because I don't think Tim is awesome, because I really do. Just because you never know how these guys come back from injuries, as evidenced, of course, with Courtland Sutton.
Yeah.
That worries me a lot. And so it's why I'm in support of the Broncos not trading Courtland Sutton if they don't get the package that they're looking for. Like, that's why I was like, a 4th, that doesn't do anything for me. That doesn't move me.
Yeah.
I would much rather just have Courtland as
Yep.
Tim insurance, which is kind of crazy and maybe even a backwards way of thinking of it, but that's the way I'm thinking of it. And all the reports, first of all, we got to go back to Russell Wilson talking about Tim Patrick. He mentioned him first anytime he ever talked about his wide receivers.
Yep.
Then he was taken away from him, which certainly impacted things last year. And now all the reporting out there is essentially that Sean Payton loves and adores Tim Patrick and kind of envisions him in that Michael Thomas role more than Courtland. So I don't want to have my offense riding on Tim coming back and being himself. So I'm cool with keeping Courtland, and I'm never hoping he's getting back to 2019 self, but I'm happy with Courtland. As long as we're not expecting him to be the X receiver, the number 1 guy, I'm fine with him bringing 800 to 900 yards next year, you know, and adding to the offense.
And that's very fair. And you don't get better as a team by dumping good players for worse things coming back. So you don't get better by trading Courtland Sutton for a 5th, unless you defy the odds in the draft and you're able to get a really good player in the 5th. But odds say, 10% that's going to happen. So I do think the Broncos are doing the right thing by not just dumping them. There's one reason why you would dump one of these guys, and that's to free up money. If you thought that was the case. And so let's take a look at where the Broncos stand with their salary cap this year, maybe even more importantly, next year. But first, got to tell you about our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. No better time to be in. Placing bets left and right. I kind of went with a different approach with you than you guys, but similar. What I did was I did live betting on when a team got down.
That was my original March Madness strategy, like 2020, I guess, or 2021.
Yep.
When DraftKings was legal, the first March Madness.
Yep. And it's risky, just like yours. You got to kind of stick with it because first game I hit Maryland plus 480. They come back win. I'm like, oh, this is great. Missed the next two, hit one, and then Texas A&M just absolutely killed me.
Well, and the original way I did it, and this requires even more discipline, is you take the team when they go down, and then as soon as they get back in the game, you just take the buyout. So you might, let's say you put in 20, and they were plus 250 when they were down by 20. Well, you might only win $10,
right?
But you watched, you took away $10, you won the game, and then you just keep doing it.
Yep.
And if you win, that's if you're winning money, that's a huge win.
It's just like painful when that team goes on to win the game. You're like, oh my god, I had that plus 250.
But you know what feels great is when there's no stress the rest of the game, and then they lose. That doesn't matter. You already won. So many different ways to play this. Alabama guys, if you want a really good bet, I think, bet on them to make the Final Four. I think it's right around plus odds right now, but here's what you get with that. So with Arizona losing, they were their biggest path. Arizona could play, or their path could be Maryland.
Alabama.
Alabama's path could be Maryland, Furman, and Princeton to the Final Four.
I mean, it's probably not going to be Princeton in the Elite Eight.
Who knows? They just beat the number 2 seed.
I obviously hope that happens. Here's what the real thing about Alabama. First of all, I joked with you about Alabama losing. When I made my brackets, I legitimately could not bring myself to pick another team to win the championship. Like, I was just like, there's not another team good enough. I will say, after watching Kansas yesterday, I might have underestimated them a little bit.
They're a good team.
They dominate. Obviously, it's a 16 seed. They're expected to dominate. They dominated yesterday. No sweat win. Brandon Miller didn't make a shot.
0 points.
Crazy.
Insane. Best player arguably in the country.
So, I think maybe there's like this idea that he was the team.
Yeah.
And like they're just a wagon. He looks different than everyone else in the tournament. Like he just looks like an NBA player playing on a college court. They're going to be trouble.
I had no idea they were any good. Like it was crazy. Like a couple days before the tournament, it would have been the week before Selection Sunday. We played a game where I just tried to name the top 10 teams because, like, it's college basketball. So sometimes you're just like, okay, let's throw Kentucky up there. And no, it wasn't. But I wound up 6 for 10 with 2 of them right on the money.
Ooh,
I know. Wow. But I had no idea Alabama. Like, when they were like, no, Alabama's number 1, I was like, Alabama? What's up with Alabama?
Yeah, their basketball team's better than their football team this year.
It is crazy. Though, because you do see him and you're just like, that guy... He just looks different.
Yeah.
He just looks different than everybody
and the whole
else.
Team, they're just so long.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you want to get in on plus money on Bama to win it all, it's probably going to slip pretty quick here, but you can do that at DraftKings Sportsbook. And even better, get $200 in bonus bets.
They literally, as we're doing this read, just sent me an offer for just up to 100% profit boost today.
I love it. And they yesterday they gave out many things. They're doing a St. Patrick's Day boost where it's Michigan, Miami. There's another green team, another team that has some green in them. Michigan State.
Okay.
Sorry, yes, Michigan State, which kicks off here in like 45 minutes. Miami, and there's one more team. They're boosting Baylor. Yep. Yeah, they're boosting all 3 of those teams to win to plus 310 if you parlay them. So always DraftKings is giving 317?
Because it's
DraftKings is always giving stuff out, so check them out. Use that promo code DNVR when you sign up to get $200 in bonus bets by placing a $5 bet. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
Really quick, just a funny thing that funny thing that was happening yesterday is like once I get this system, I don't really want to mess with it, so I don't play anything else. It just makes it easier for me to calculate how it's doing all this stuff. And so, like, I don't know why this was happening, but every game someone came up to us and was like, what do you guys have here?
I know.
And I was like, how many times do I have to
know.
explain to you guys? We have the underdog on the money line. That's the only thing we're betting today.
It is
So it's
really
like
crazy.
the 116 starts like, what do you guys have here? We're like, we have Texas A&M Corpus Christi money line. That's all we're taking.
I know. Somebody asked me like, yeah, so what do you think of Utah State? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I know they play in the Mountain West. I know they're wearing blue right now. I could tell you nothing else about them.
Yeah.
All I know
that
is
we're betting against them.
yes,
They've got the better odds, so
Why not
that's what
Utah
we're doing.
State? I have no clue.
Are you guys still alive in Survivor?
That's
You weren't on the graphic. No, Henry wasn't.
No, I forgot. I was working on the. That was McGlinchey film room day. And I was like, oh, when I'm done. And then it was midnight and I forgot.
So one of the reasons why I failed a lot of tests in school was not reading the questions entirely. And so I deserve to be eliminated from this pool because I just didn't read the rules.
Wow.
Wait, and just for some context, when this was thrown out in our company Slack, Ryan asked for Marissa to explain the rules for everyone, and the way you made it sound was like, oh, I know this, but like everyone else needs to understand.
Well, it was just thrown in there like, oh yeah, it's one of those college basketball survivor pools. Like everyone should know what that is. And I was like, I feel like you should probably explain the rules a little more. She did. And I still didn't read them right. And I did read them, but my eyes just went past one of the most important rules, which was you have to pick a different team every day, not every round. So I just submitted my pick for yesterday. I'm like, yeah, Purdue.
And it's today's.
And Purdue plays today.
Oh,
so like, I deserve to be out.
Wow.
I didn't even catch that, and I'm the one updating.
I know. See, I was going to just let it slide, but I'm trying to have a self-growth moment here.
Whoa.
Wow. That's really impressive.
Thank you.
That's very impressive.
That is.
I'm still in. My Tennessee Volunteer, definitely not mine. The Tennessee Volunteers won, but a lot of people eliminated. I think.
The people were picking upsets in there.
I know.
Patrick is
Since neither of you guys are still in, what people don't
What if
understand.
I picked 2 today?
Oh, you hear you allowing that? You're the one making the graphic. You're the one with all the power.
I'm not gonna say no.
Let's go.
There's no reason to pick any team less than a 4 seed because you only have to pick 11 games.
Yeah.
So like people are out here picking. We have Spence
State.
picking 7, Utah State, Patrick going with the 10 seed, Dwayne going with the 7 seed, A&M. Yikes! There's no need to do that.
I was just like, I'm gonna keep picking 1 seeds until I run out, and I just assume everyone else will lose by then.
Smart.
Exactly. Especially like if there's like 16 people.
Yeah.
There's 16 yesterday. If people bat 500, which they'll probably do better. It's like 8 today, 4 tomorrow, 2 the next day, which means one of them loses then. So you
really
don't even
true.
get through the first weekend.
Started with
Yep.
13. We're down to 9.
9. Does that include Ryan?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's including Ryan.
Dang.
Nice job. Way to survive.
I'll pick 2 today.
That was one of my faults for not checking and seeing because I was making this like in a hurry yesterday. So
Well, the funny thing is,
not
then,
your
like,
fault, yeah,
someone told Patrick, like, you have to pick one for today. Your team plays tomorrow, and I just missed that too.
Oh,
Why didn't no one tell that to me?
because they didn't want to deal with your smoke in this.
I
They
think
wanted you out.
everyone just assumed that I knew what I was doing.
Which is probably a pretty fair
Yeah,
assumption with sports and a betting thing.
to be
Right.
fair, I didn't even question your pick twice.
Yep.
Because I'm like, yeah, Ryan knows the rules. He
See?
knows what he's doing.
I'll
He
t-
made it sound on the chat in the Slack. It sounded like he knew what was going
It's true.
on.
It's very true.
Well,
Wow.
I like that. I just get the benefit of the doubt.
Bro,
Maybe didn't deserve it.
How about the ultimate giveaway?
Yeah, if you want to go see the Denver Nuggets and MVP underdog Nikola Jokic, you can sign up for our giveaway at thednvr.com /
MVP underdog.
isn't that crazy? / Breck Sweeps. And
That is nuts.
I know I hate it. I really hate it. That's all. Yeah. Don't have time again today. But yeah, you can get 2 courtside row 2 tickets to the game against the Pelicans on March 30th. We're giving those away a week before the game, which means there's only about a week left to get in. So make sure that you do that. Again, courtside row 2, Club Lexus access, parking pass, DNVR gear, all that sort of stuff. So head on over to thednvr.com / Breck Sweeps and complete the form to enter. You gotta be 21 or older. The link is also in the show description, and you can scan that little QR code right there.
Henry, what does the Broncos salary cap look like this year because, as we talked about earlier this week, Broncos can free up like $2 million by trading KJ Hamler, $3 million by trading Jerry Jeudy, and $7 million by trading Courtland Sutton this year. So if you really wanted cap space and you thought that was such an important thing, that to me is the only reason why you would trade one of these guys for not true value back, is just if you want that cap space open. And just by those things, you'd be trading Courtland Sutton because you'd be freeing up the most salary cap. Do the Broncos need to do that?
So basically, they have $8.5 million left at this point. You have to factor in the draft class, which will cost them about $300,000-$400,000. Because again, it's top 51. So whenever you sign somebody, whoever's paid the 51st most on your cap sheet gets knocked down to 52. So that number doesn't matter. So when
essentially, you don't need to account for the draft.
Exactly, because there's 3 guys who make more than the current 51st, 52nd, or 50th, 49th. But after accounting for those, it'll be down closer to like 8.1, 8.2 million. Veteran minimum deals, I think, will count for about 1.1, a little less than 1.1. After accounting for the draft class, you get about 900,000 back. So each veteran deal will cost about $200,000 the rest of the way. So if you say there's 5 more of those coming in, that's probably a little bit heavy, but there's another $1 million that's gone. You look at a couple of the restricted free agents, I don't think they've brought back yet. You know, they did get PJ Locke back. I'm not sure if that's listed here because I don't know if we have a number. I don't think we have a number yet.
We don't have a number yet, but they turned down the tender, which was what, 2.6?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we assume it comes in under that.
Yeah, and it's probably under $1 million somewhere, and that's where all those guys should slot in. We don't have Tremont Smith accounted for yet, but again, that's $3 million over 2 years, or is it $3 million per year?
It's just under $3 million per year.
Just under $3 million, so that probably counts between $1.5 million and $2 million. Maybe it comes in just over $2 million. Call that $2 million. Take out $870K. There's another $1 million. So point is, you're looking at around 6.5 probably. Last year they went into the season with like 12.4 million, something like that, because you want to have some for the moves, or like if nobody signs Ronald Darby, you have to take another $1 million out at the end of the year. Just stuff like that. But that 12.4 I think was the 4th most in the NFL. Probably see it closer to 10 this time around. But again, you just move a couple dollars to this year from whatever contract you want, and you can patch it up.
And to put it in perspective, that roughly $8 million that they have, the NFL average right now is $16.7 million, so they're well under that, and they have the seventh fewest amount of cap space, seventh least amount of cap space. And so we talked about Darius Slay. If you wanted to bring him in, or not Darius Slay, CJGJ.
Yep.
If you wanted to bring him in for 1 year, $12 million, you would need to open up cap space.
Yep.
You could do it by trading Courtland Sutton. You could also do it by restructuring a contract.
Yep.
So you don't have to trade one of these guys in order to open up enough space to go sign a top-end player. But if you wanted to easily open up cap space, you could do that. And so, Henry, kind of what you said was the Broncos are fine with cap space right now.
Yep. They'll probably wind up moving like $4 million from this year to next year. I'd also be curious. I wish somebody was keeping track of how many contracts or how much money teams have pushed forward to next year, because the Broncos haven't done any of that yet. You know, maybe you could look at the way they've structured the contracts and said that was pretty backloaded.
Yeah.
But there's a bunch of teams who've already just gone through and said, nope, accounting wise, this counts for next year, this counts for next year, this counts for next year. And it seems like the Broncos are waiting till the end to just say, oh, we just want another $4 or $5 million. Again, it doesn't matter. You could go into the season with $4 million and just, if you end the season with that same $4 million, it rolls over. If you push $5 million and call it $9 million, then the $9 million rolls over and the 5s cancel out. So it really doesn't matter where you push it forward, but it is a thing that's probably going to happen.
If CJGJ is on the market tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., I am lowering my expectation for his contract into single digits.
Okay.
I think I'm already there.
Yeah.
And what did he tweet yesterday that he deleted? Like, this is disrespect.
The disrespect is real.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that means the contracts he's getting are very disrespectful in his eyes.
And he's right.
Yes, 100%.
That's fair.
And I think Hank pointed out very, very well yesterday that the safety market, you can get a lot of money
Yep.
in. The free safety market, or the strong safety market, not that much. And I think he's realizing that. And I think teams are presenting that to him, and he's not a fan of it.
And I think he might sign a 1-year deal, and then just like he said, I'm not a slot corner, I'm a strong safety. He's going to be like, no, somebody sign me who wants me to play free safety, and I'll hit the market again next year.
I'm a free safety. Really quick, because this is probably in the Broncos' future, in the not too distant future. Guess how much combined salary, which impacts the cap, on the Saints? Cam Jordan, Michael Thomas, Marshawn Lattimore, Ryan Ramczyk, Andres Pete, Alvin Kamara, Demario Davis, and Derek Carr. So, like, I named their 8 best players.
Yeah.
Guess how much they're getting salary-wise, a.k.a. cap. There's obviously some other things with that as well, are getting this year. 8 players.
And they're probably
top players.
averaging 25 at least.
But salary,
So
base salary.
Just salary?
Yeah, base salary.
Oh.
To manipulate the cap.
Yeah.
The reason I'm saying this
Like,
is because it's coming to the
like
Broncos
13
soon.
million.
Total or each?
I'd say total. Wait, cap or salary?
Just
Salary.
straight salary.
I'd say
not-
13 million.
8.
Yeah, it's like $9
it's crazy.
million.
It's crazy.
And that's how you avoid the cap. And the Saints are clearly just saying, we're just going to continue to push this down the line. And that's
Yep.
what the Broncos, are very well going to be doing soon.
So the question is, if the Saints, who everyone felt were the team that can no longer manipulate the cap, can still manipulate the cap,
Yeah.
can you just manipulate the cap forever?
I was thinking about that. And can you just push the bill forever?
Right, like, if you expected the world to end in 2025, you would just take on an insane amount of debt right now.
Right.
You're just like, I'm never going to have to pay this back anyway because the world's going to
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just kick the can down the road until the world ends.
Yeah.
And you never have to pay the bill.
Especially when there's no bill due date.
Right.
It's like, wait, I can just continue to do this?
Right. Like maybe they just took out like a 30-year mortgage on a good team.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They're like, everybody talks about the Saints cap guy. It's like, wow, that guy does whatever. But nobody, like, what he's done is really 2 things. He's started the whole restructure, like we're leaning heavy into that and the void year stuff. But he also, like with the Taysom Hill contract, I don't think we've talked about it on the podcast. I think I talked about it with Jake Schwanitz a little bit ago. I really hope this doesn't repeat. But basically what they can do is say, we are signing Taysom Hill to a 5-year contract with like $40 million salaries in these last 4 years. And so he's never going to get to that point, but it spreads the money out in a way that you can then say, oh, when we cut him there, those 4 all
like a
accelerate.
waterfall effect,
Exactly. Those all hit in that second year after you cut him, but you get to split this first year into 20% instead of 50-50. So like it's
makes
stuff
sense.
like that where it's like nobody's ever thought of that before. And now I'm sure you're going to see more NFL teams do it. But the thing is, you keep pushing the bill, it just gets harder and harder to get past it. Because I can't remember, how far into the cap were they this year when they came into free agency? It's like 55,
Yeah,
60?
tens of millions.
Next year, they have 38 players under contract. And as it stands right now, they're going to enter the offseason with $116 million above the cap. And again, like, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to push everything, and the next year it's going to
over
be
the cap
over 116 over the cap.
with only 38 players.
Yeah. So again, like,
my gosh,
those are
maybe that's when the
it's
bill is
Okay, so
due.
what? But is the bill due for 1 year?
Good question.
And then you're
I
just
mean, you
good
could
after that?
You couldn't pay it off in 1 year. Like, I mean,
if
if
you
you
could, that would so be worth it.
You
to
could-
do this
oh,
for
yeah.
10 years, have one awful year,
and-
and then build it
Yeah.
up again.
Yeah, and then you end up with Andrew Luck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
And we'll see how exactly they do it, but eventually you get to the point where you every single offseason you are going to have to blow so much money, or essentially blow so much money just getting back under the cap that you can't really add anything. So that's why you have like the 5-year period or whatever where you have this bonus money to use whenever you want. But there is kind of that limit where it's like, well, now you just literally can't do anything because you're so handcuffed.
So then how
But everybody's
much,
wondering how long.
how much trouble are the Broncos in for next year? Because right now the Broncos have the 6th fewest cap dollars for next year. They have significantly more than New Orleans. But they're in the whole $24 million in cap space for next year.
And so then the other part is they have 41 players under contract. So offseason only top 51 counts. So if you say on average those are $1 million contracts, vet min, rookies, whatever, then you throw another $10 million on there.
So then they're 20 or $34 million.
Exactly. Then you count the rollover, which as of now looks like it's going to be what, 5-6 million, and maybe it's bigger because they move things around, but then they add that to next year's cap hit anyway. I guess
So
that'd be
you're
spread
around
out a little bit more.
$29 million under
There
the
you
cap.
go. The cap grows
Under or over?
Over.
Over, sorry.
Yes, and then the cap grows probably by 10 to 12 million. Like the level every year seems to go up about 10 to 12
So
million.
then you're 18 million over.
And then you
And
cut
the-
Garrett Bowles.
Yep, and so then you can
And then
save
you're even.
16 there. You can save 11, move on from Tim, 10 moving on from Jerry, or you just restructure a couple guys and say, hey, we're pushing. I mean, it'd be kind of bold to say we're moving $20 million to the future, but it's not as bold anymore because half the league did that much this offseason.
What's crazy, talking about letting go of Garrett Bowles, and hopefully he has a career year this year, and it's not even a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But there used to be a world where no franchise quarterbacks ever hit the market, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And then there used to be a world where no left tackles, or good tackles, period, ever hit the market. Now that's happening. The Bengals are trading their left tackle. Like,
Yeah.
what? It's crazy.
It is.
I love this about the NFL.
Yeah.
Things always change. Like, there was a time when running backs were really valuable. That went away. Now there's kind of been an overcorrection. Everyone just wants wide receivers. Everyone wants to throw the ball. Everyone gets really light in the box because teams are throwing two downs out of 3. Then there's like a cycle.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's going to come back around. And I think, honestly, Sean Payton is trying to be on the front end of that next cycle, which is like, oh, you're going to have 220-pound linebackers. Watch this. We're going to have 230-pound running backs.
Yeah.
And try and tackle them. So I love that about the NFL. Quarterbacks never become available. Well, Henry's point, now paying quarterbacks might actually be detrimental to your quest for winning a Super Bowl. Now quarterbacks are becoming available.
They
Like
are.
it's such a cool thing about the NFL that it's not just the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
There's always movement and overcorrections one way and it comes back the other way.
It's so true.
And again, that just the one thing that would change, just those rookie contracts. Like it would solve this quarterback thing. You would see teams keep their quarterback just a little bit more because if number 1 overall pick quarterback is on a $30 million, $25 million salary even, all of a sudden that advantage over the rest of the league is not nearly as big. And again, we've talked about why it's never going to happen, but that would just balance things out so much where you could justify paying quarterbacks. The reason we've gotten to this point, though, is that every single quarterback gets paid more than the one before and just climb and climb and climb and climb. And we've just climbed over the threshold where it's like, actually, these are bad values unless they're superstars. And it's like because you would only step up by like $1 million a year, $2 million a year. Nobody's saying, oh, highest paid quarterback, $30 million. Let's just give ours 42. You just have to reset. Because you've now done that over and over and over again, you've caught up to where you probably should have been 10 years ago.
Yeah, I'll never argue on behalf of the owners, but it was kind of fucked up that high drafted quarterbacks just had them by the balls.
True.
It's like, what are you going to do? Not give me a contract?
Yeah, right.
And
Not
like,
draft
Yeah.
me.
that was heading towards a place where it was really dangerous too. Again, I don't really care if they get held over the flames by Lee Steinberg and some rookie quarterback.
It really screwed the Raiders.
Yep.
Well, and the Rams with Sam Bradford.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like eventually, what was going to happen is first round early drafted quarterbacks, whoever you think is going to go number 1 this year, Bryce Young, could have demanded $40 million a year, all guaranteed. Or else what? What are you going to do? Not sign him?
Yep. But what's he going
did
to
it.
do? Not take the $40 million this
Yes.
year? Not take I mean, it's possible. Go back to school for another year?
With NIL, maybe. Maybe they do have that power.
So it probably needed to happen just to avoid some silliness going on.
Yeah.
But
I think the
I
way to
agree
do
with
it
what
would
you're
be,
saying.
say, like, you slot the contracts, you increase the amount that players make on their rookie deals, but you'd also kind of have to account for position.
Yeah, I think that is smart.
And if you did that, then I don't know. It could be at least a step in the right direction.
So what are you saying for slotting top 5 quarterback or the number 1 overall pick? Are you saying 20 million? Are you saying 40 million? Are you saying 5?
I think even 20 million would be such a big step in the right direction that all of a sudden, like, what's that line where it's like if you pay more than 13% of your cap to a quarterback, you're not probably going to win a Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes is the only player who's done it. You probably just say that moves up to 15, 16% if you give that 20 million to rookie deal contracts.
I mean, and it would be by pick. So
Exactly.
a quarterback that goes number 1 overall should probably be like 30.
Yeah, but then also the other players are like, wait, just because I'm a defensive lineman, like I've always gotten this amount of money because we're drafted right here and the number 8 pick is this.
Right.
I guess the other part is players who are about to get drafted don't get to be a part of CBA discussions, so it doesn't really matter what they want.
And then it creates this weird thing where teams are like, we actually don't want to draft our quarterback number 1 overall. Like, we'll take the 3rd best quarterback at 8.
Right.
Or cap strap teams just say like, we'd rather just get
We can't afford to draft a quarterback number 1. That's bad.
then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I might use a top 5 pick on a running back because that might only be $5 million a year.
Bryce Young or CJ Stroud would come in and be the highest paid player on that team this year.
Oh, that'd be bad.
The highest paid without even playing a single down.
I mean,
I mean, that's what's happening in college.
but shouldn't they kind of
It's
like
true.
that is the face of your organization for the next 3 or 4 years? Maybe he deserves to get paid like it.
Wow. It's a crazy conversation. I like the way it is right now, but I understand what you're saying about trying to make it more even. We've got some names of players the Broncos can move on from, and this won't be a long conversation, but it's about making the hard decisions. Garrett Bowles next year. This is for 2024. You move on from him, you save $16 million. Justin Simmons, you move on from him, you save $15 million. Courtland Sutton, you move on from him, you've saved $10 million. Randy Gregory, you move on from him, you save $10 million. Tim Patrick, you move on from him, you save $11 million.
They'll be fine.
Big year for Randy.
It is.
Very big year for Randy.
These are the star players on the team, the biggest names, the guys that you want the most out of. This is kind of a make or break year or a prove it year for so many of these guys, which could be a great thing for the Broncos. Because these guys are playing for a lot. Obviously, if they move on from them, these guys are still going to get paid somewhere else. But if they want to stay on the Broncos, a big year. Also,
how much do you save for moving on from Russell Wilson?
You save negative $50 million, negative $49.5 million.
Hopefully that's not worth it. And the flip side of that is,
here's what I'll tell you. I don't think they're ever accepting a rebuild during the Sean Payton era.
No.
So all the dreams or thoughts.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a dream to lose $50 million to move on from your quarterback. All the thoughts about, get rid of Russell and start from the bottom are gone. Now, there's
very true.
reporting out there that this is a 1-year, I guess it was rumor hearing out there, that this is a 1-year tryout for Russell Wilson. I just don't really see how that's possible.
Because if you move on from him, then you're toast.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Cut everyone? And with Sean Payton? No way.
You trade for Patrick Mahomes, as Yahir says,
And I would also say teams that have just said we're tanking and rebuilding, it hasn't really worked for them. Like, you just look at the teams that made it to Super Bowls, like Chiefs lucked into Mahomes.
What about the Jags?
Philly found, I mean, that's probably the best example, and they won one playoff game. And it's like maybe it goes.
Fluke.
Exactly. Maybe they figure it all out. Like the Rams didn't do that. The Bengals were bad, but what pick was Burrow? Was he number 1?
Yes.
He was number 1. So they did bottom out to get him.
And
Tampa went and got, Brady. San Francisco obviously hasn't done it. New England had Brady at the time. The Rams at that point. Goff was number 1.
Yep.
So I guess there are a couple times you get the number 1 pick and it works out.
Really quick, how did the Saints not just rebuild right after they left Sean? I thought that was going to be the whole thing. Like, okay, let's eat a ton of this money. Let's restart. Instead, not only did they still try to win with Dennis Allen as their head coach, good for him, but they traded a future first-round pick for, who was it for? It was like it was a player, right? Last year they did that with the Eagles. I think, but they went like even more in crazy.
Yeah. And I think in hindsight they would have said, maybe we should have just sold everybody and taking a bunch of picks.
That
And
seems so obvious. I
Especially-
think that's like an
Seems
ego
so
thing from the front office.
in that
Definitely.
situation, it seemed pretty clear. You just lost Sean Payton and Drew Brees. Like, if there is a time to rebuild, and you're in cap
No
hill,
one blames you.
cap hell,
No.
exactly. Like those are the 3 point. Like you checked all 3 boxes to say, you know what, F it, let's rebuild.
I think the biggest thing about rebuilding that teams are afraid to do is admit it to the public. And I think if a team comes out and says, "Yeah, we're gonna
Trust the process.
we're gonna rebuild," trust the process. Trust the process might scare the crap out of people, but if you present it in the right way, I could get behind that for 1 year. It's like we got this plan. It's 1 year, and we're going all in. But one thing teams don't have the courage to do that and say that publicly.
Yes, I know that everyone knows that Trust the Process hasn't done anything,
Yep.
and the 76ers haven't even made it to a conference finals.
Bad, no good players.
But what I will say about
None.
Trust the Process is the fans got behind it, and that's
Right.
why you sell it to them.
Yep.
Is, hey, look, we admitted that we were rebuilding,
Yeah.
and we actually created like a movement
Right.
within our fan base where they actually liked us losing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's even further than I would have even thought.
Yeah, so I mean that's why you sell Trust the Process.
Right.
You're not trying to compare basketball to football in the first place.
Yeah.
You're comparing the fan base reaction of, look, we admitted it, they loved it.
Yeah, exactly. And Chris Olave was the pick, the future
Yeah.
pick they traded to get back into the first round that year in order to draft a receiver instead of having a first round pick this year.
Now Chris Olave is sick.
He is pretty sick.
But what are you doing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Especially when you don't have that quarterback position picked out.
And the flip side, getting back to 2024 cap, you do have guys that you can cut to clear space, but the best news is that you don't have a huge free agent class yourself. The guys that you will have to re-sign or let go, Josie Jewell, Mike Purcell, K1 Williams, KJ Hamler, Lloyd Cushenberry, Albert Okwuegbunam. It's, again, I
Yeah.
don't want to say those are not good players, but none of them is going to break the bank unless something crazy happens this season.
It's a really good point. And this whole conversation maybe has some people thinking that we're on the ganj right now. You know, we're
wow.
crazy. We're celebrating
wow.
the weekend
I feel like we're
a
pretty,
little early.
of all days.
You think we're pretty level-headed right now?
Yeah.
Maybe we need to check out
Yes.
Jive Hive, then
We
become a
can't-
little less or a little less hinged.
A little more hinged.
A little
more
more
unhinged.
A little more unhinged, and Jive Hive will help you do that. Scan the QR code or go to jivehive.com. That's JIVEHYVE.com. And what Jive Hive does, they deliver weed straight to you. So if you're already celebrating March Madness at 10 a.m., you don't have to get in a car in order to get
True.
this delivered straight to you. Convenient. It also saves you money because they don't have to pay for stores, and privacy. You don't have to worry about bumping into anyone when you're out there. So check them out, jivehive.com. Right now, they are delivering to select locations, but make sure to continue to check out their website because they continue to expand to where they're delivering to. Right now, they're delivering to Greenwood Village, Aurora, Monument, Fountain, and various areas of El Paso County. Check them out, jivehive.com, JIVEHYVE.com.
Really quick. I'm almost always in support, and I understand why anyone would want to just say, like, this. It's the weekend. I'm staying at home. March Madness is not that time. There's no way you can replicate at home what we have here, which is the quad wall TV,
Yep.
Yeah.
where there's never more than really 4 games going on at once. You can watch all of the games on a big TV looking in one way. Like,
Yep.
you just can't match that. This is the weekend of all the weekends that you have to come to the DNVR Bar.
Back in
point.
college, I had 3 roommates, and we each had a TV. They just all happened to be 42 inches. And so what we did is we got like 2 TV stands, but then we also got TV stands that have like they're on a pole and raised.
yeah.
And so we did have the quad wall in college.
Wow,
and
that's
for
sick.
2 years, it was the time of my life. Like we would play like 2v2 Rocket League and stuff all right there.
Wow.
We'd like turn on all the March Madness games. I really miss that.
Yeah. I feel that. I've done that too, but like you kind of have to like jerry rig it, and like you got like one on your computer, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like,
You
just
had the
being able to
wheeling TV.
I know. R.I.P. I miss it so much. Allie finally just put the kibosh on the wheelie TV.
It's understandable. But I mean, what a setup.
Especially because it eventually just made permanent residence in the living room.
Of course. So it's not even, the wheels weren't even necessary then.
Right. Like I just stopped moving it back after I was done with it.
Wow.
Oh, man. All right. Best TV ever.
Man, but you don't have to worry about it now.
Yep. True.
I mean, everywhere here. Even if you don't want to look at just the quad wall. You got them everywhere you look.
How about last night? You've got 4 March Madness games going. The Nuggets and the Avs playing all at the same time. Watched them all.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And if you hired somebody else to build you a quad wall in your house, but they did a bad job.
Oh, no.
TV falls off the wall, lands on top of you.
No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
You break your neck. You cut your face open because it's made of glass. Oh, remember Brandon Marshall? Didn't he punch a TV when he was in Denver? Cut his arm open, like missed training camp or something?
If you ever hear a story like that, it just means was drunk and got
Right.
Yes. But if that happens to you, then call Backus and Schenker because they will help you get money from whoever poorly hung your quad wall.
It sounded
Turn
like
the
someone
TVs
was
on.
going to need to call Backus and Schenker.
Yeah.
They turned the TV on and it sounded like a person just got like slaughtered.
Wow.
That was such a weird
It
sound.
was.
Yes.
What commercial or something did we go into?
If you heard that weird sound and fell over and hurt yourself
Wow.
because somebody played the sound too loud, call Backus and Schenker. I don't know if you can sue, but they will. You can call 222-2222. They've won over $1 billion for their clients. They've been in Colorado for 25 years. No upfront fees. No fees at all unless they win your case. Then they get a cut. It's an awesome system that they've got. They've got 30 lawyers on staff. They have offices all over Colorado. They serve the entire state. So call 222-2222 if you are injured and it wasn't your fault. Whether it's car accident, motorcycle, rideshare, pedestrians, trucks. They can help if you're injured at work, like if the quad wall falls on me. So call, see if you have a case for free.
Isaiah McKenzie just hit the open market.
No.
Okay. No, don't bring him back. He's not your Jerry Jeudy replacement.
Remember who the coach was that benched him to the media and didn't even tell it to his face?
Vance Joseph?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, probably
This
not.
is not exactly one of the bands that I want to get back together.
No. You're right. That's bad time.
But the Patriots cut Jalen Mills. I don't know anything about him other than I liked him when he was in Philadelphia.
Yeah. What if that had been the trade?
Also-
you get Jalen Mills in a second for Jerry.
I just I don't know how good Jalen Mills is anymore.
Seems not good based
No.
only on being cut.
Also,
I'd
I
rather
always
have a
thought that
first.
he dyed his hair green because he was playing for the Eagles. But even when he went to the Patriots, he kept the green hair.
He just has green hair.
He's just a fan of Saint. I think
222-2222.
Someone did.
Yeah.
That one actually.
Somebody's hurt. Somebody's
they're
hurt.
okay.
Hopefully it's not Parker.
Yep.
Oh gosh. Well, he just.
Oh,
I think he
wow.
was mid going down. Maybe.
He was mid.
Those stairs are fucking
Yeah.
Oh,
Every
man.
time I walk down those stairs, I just remember we have like a barn door,
Yeah.
and I'll just never forget Adam Foote.
Every time.
Few drinks deep, just went through the door instead of sliding it. Just pushed it up and went under it.
Yes, and the hinges are like square. It goes like that. Like they don't.
Yeah.
There's no way to do that. You have to bend metal.
I did that one.
And then he did it somehow though, and then
I
nothing
mean,
broke.
yeah, it's Adam Foote. He's a Hall of Fame, big, strong, tough guy.
I
Yep.
did that one time too, but mine was different because I tripped from the top stairs and I just tumbled over.
You went all the way down the stairs.
Halfway during
Wow, I'm so sad I missed that.
222-2222.
horrible. Complete understanding.
Were you injured?
My ankle was fucked up for like 2 weeks.
Damn.
222-2222. Come on. What more do
Falling
you
down the
need?
stairs is objectively funny every time.
Oh, every time. Yeah. I swear, we got to put banana peels up there.
Oh, good.
Wait, wouldn't
That
that
would
do
be a
the opposite?
222-2222.
Oh, you mean to have people fall down the stairs
Yes.
for our pleasure?
Yeah,
I guess
no,
it's
yes,
always
exactly.
funny until there's an actual injury.
Yeah,
But like
yeah,
if someone
yeah.
falls down the stairs and
I-
isn't hurt, like
Yeah.
that's like top comedy.
And
I'd
they
be
get up
laughing.
and they're laughing. Yeah.
I'd be
That
laughing so
definitely
hard I
is.
wouldn't know if they're hurt.
All right, some comments before we.
Yeah, let's talk to the people. We've got some super chats coming in as well. Let's hit them. Tiffany
at least
says,
get us over 100 likes for
Oh,
God's sakes.
please. Tiffany says, Court, Jerry, Hamler, all staying best thing for team. I know that's how a lot of fans feel, and this is Klis's report was a good thing for fans.
I would take Mecole Hardman over KJ Hamler.
Yeah.
Man, how much would you get for him? Or how much would he cost?
He's still out there.
That's a
so-
tough
Still out
one. Not
there.
a lot. Again, like you can't put 600 yards with Patrick Mahomes. They wanted you to be Tyreek Hill.
Well, he's not.
No, but he played the Tyreek Hill role in the Chiefs offense.
Yeah.
Are you
Like
saying
he-
he's like a one-trick pony?
Just run straight.
Yeah.
Jet sweeps. Even running straight
Back
isn't,
in the day, we
isn't
used to
great.
call this a 79er. Run a post and a 9.
Yeah. It's very true, man. I'm down for that because
Yep.
he is a guy. He was injured last year, but as he pointed out on Twitter, he's not an injury-prone guy. He got hurt once.
Oh, if he
Yep.
said it, then.
It's true.
That is true. Wow.
Mike Trout says, if only Hanky Panky was as committed to Madden as he is to his craft. Last chance to
true.
schedule the game before I get a sim win.
Oh,
You've
wow.
had some great content, though. What? It's not that hard to just respond to your opponent.
I know, but I have no idea what my schedule is.
That's all you have to say.
But see, I don't think it's gonna happen today. I'd imagine I'm not gonna get through Samaje Perine at the bar, so that's probably gonna be until midnight again.
You can take an hour break to play your video game. It's okay. You have my permission.
I finished working at 12:40 last night, though.
You should have finished working it.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna do that because we had a show at 9. So again, like, I don't think tonight. Tomorrow, I can't even
What
think.
about, like,
I don't even know tomorrow.
before March Madness starts tomorrow morning?
No pod.
Yep.
Yeah, in theory that should work.
There you go. We just
I
just
don't-
figured out.
there's
Mike
so
Trout
many
was
things.
even in our chat during my game yesterday, asking
wow.
if I could get in touch with Henry
Wow.
for him. Yeah.
Just
Wow.
respond to your opponent.
I don't know.
Hard.
It is
just,
hard.
It's a respect thing.
Yeah.
You're acting like the Raiders.
Even if
I'm
you
not
just
a
say,
texter.
"Hey, I'm really busy. I don't know. I'll let you know when I know more."
I know. The thing is, I should have given the last guy a sim win. Because remember, I was late.
Oh,
I should have just said that to you. And I have a
right.
feeling
You
it's going to be another
tried.
situation like that this week.
But we were just like
Tomorrow morning.
10 minutes
We
late.
held
Could do
the pod.
tomorrow
It didn't really hurt
Yeah.
anything.
We were late.
Mike Trout also comes in and says, could it be for a safety or a corner? I imagine
Oh,
this is the
the-
second round pick plus a player. I mean, safety, if you wanted to. Speaking of guys on Twitter, Caden
Yeah.
Stearns is not happy with the conversation around him.
I wanted to bring that up yesterday. I'm sorry. You haven't done enough to earn that.
I know.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
Like Courtland Sutton at least has been a Pro Bowler in the NFL.
And a starter on your team.
Caden Stearns, while I am high on Caden Stearns' ability,
Me too.
you
Yeah.
don't get to do the I can't believe they're looking for someone to play my position thing when you haven't even been a starter.
Yeah, and haven't even played. Has he played 16 full games?
Now, I respect
think the year before he did.
him wanting to be the starter and thinking I
Yeah.
got this. Line
Yeah.
me up next to Justin and watch what happens. But you don't get to do the I can't believe this is happening.
You're right.
Yeah.
He also has an anti-Jokic tweet that he has when he
Caden Stearns?
joined the Broncos.
Oh, I think
That
I
is
remember
a
this.
throwback.
Now, Nick Benito
Wow.
was the opposite. He said, Jokic really the GOAT or something
Yeah,
like that.
smart, smart.
So I do have a little bit of bias against Caden.
174
Wow, that's long grudge.
174 coverage snaps for Caden Stearns last year. Gave up a 15.2 passer rating when targeted.
Well, like I said,
Exactly.
I'm high on
Yeah,
Caden
yeah.
Stearns.
Efficient. He is
Don't
so
take this
efficient.
as me being low
Exactly.
on Caden Stearns. You have to have played more to
What
say,
happens if he
why
gets
are they
hurt?
looking for someone to play my position?
Yeah, that's fair. It's very fair. And that last super chat from Nathan Goodbreak says, could we somehow trade Jeudy for Derrick Henry?
Can we please start just calling him Derek? Because every time I see this, I'm like, wait, is he trying to trade? And it's like, oh, yeah, that's right.
We're getting Jeudy on the set. You
I
okay
think we'll
playing
probably
receiver?
just start calling you Chisholm before we start calling him Derek.
Well, maybe we'll just stop talking about him in
What did we say?
a couple weeks.
What did we say Derrick Henry's value was?
It's probably about the same as Courtland Sutton's.
Same as Courtland Sutton, not Jerry Jeudy?
I think if they trade
not
him,
You thought it was like a first round pick.
I
We
thought
thought it
first
was
or
a
second.
third, I think.
If you could trade either of the receivers for Derrick Henry, would you?
Yes.
Would you trade Jeudy?
No.
Oh, so you would only trade Courtland.
Yes.
You'd trade
Yeah.
Courtland for Derrick Henry
I-
straight up.
I'll trade Courtland and then some for Derrick Henry.
Would you trade Jerry and a fifth for Derrick Henry?
no.
No. I
wouldn't take-
It would be Jerry for Derrick Henry and a
That's-
second.
Okay, that I meant Henry
Oh, okay.
and a fifth.
No.
Sorry. Okay.
But I will say, the share of offense that Derrick Henry gets compared to a Jerry Jeudy or Courtland Sutton is absurd.
Oh yeah, big
But-
time.
Yeah.
Like what do they call it in basketball? Like offensive usage rate or something?
Right, right.
Like Derrick Henry would be
Yeah.
the top of the list.
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane. Especially if he had other weapons to take some pressure off him, and then the middle of the field is open for Derrick Henry.
Again, you're asking Russell Wilson to do what the Titans asked Ryan Tannehill to do.
It's very true.
You expect him to excel in that
yes,
role.
you definitely do.
It's,
Definitely
and
do.
it's just scary. I'm a little bit scared about it.
I can't wait for Derrick Hank to be a Bronco.
Derrick Hank to be a Bronco. And we have one comment coming in on the website from the county. Says, I'm confused. The narrative is that the visor and George Paton don't leak things like the Elway administration did. If that is the case, how do so many people know the inner workings of the Jeudy Sutton trade fiasco? Love, the count.
There's a lot of different ways that people find out about information, not just from the team.
Yeah.
That's all. I mean,
Yeah.
could be from agents, could be from the players themselves, could be from other teams.
Exactly.
There's several different avenues.
Outside of Mike Klis last night, look at where all of these reports are coming from. It's not
Yep.
from local people.
Like
it's
random.
It's not even from Adam Schefter, right?
Yep.
Or even
Or
like a
Ian
Tom
Rappaport.
Pelissero or James Palmer, people that
Yeah.
you know are like
Yeah.
national but have local
Just
ties.
the tier below.
It's Dan Graziano. It's Mike Garafolo. Guys that aren't always breaking the news, which
I
makes you
assume-
think it's not coming from the Broncos.
Right. It's the Vikings GM, for example,
Yep.
is like, yeah, I got a call from the Broncos about Jerry Jeudy.
Yep. The Patriots, Jeff
Exactly.
Howe
Yeah,
put
yeah,
something
yeah.
out saying
Yep.
the Broncos were asking for a first for Jerry.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, like I was just talking to whoever or with the Broncos, and they're saying they actually got calls from a couple other teams about these two. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, there's a tweet.
Yeah.
Broncos getting called. You know,
Yeah. So
That's- yeah.
it is a good question, the count, and that's how this one is unfolding.
If any like other NFL GMs want to hit us up, tell us what the Broncos are doing.
Very true. It's very true.
Love it.
I'll leak
and also,
anything.
the Broncos don't want this information out because they don't want Courtland Sutton feeling like he's not wanted.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not coming from them. But then Mike comes out and says maybe they aren't trading him. We could have an idea where that's coming from.
Of course. Glorious, another super chat. Let's get to 100 likes, please. I could be wrong, but I don't understand why the Broncos don't restructure Russ's contract. That would allow us to do so much more to help the team. Usually when you restructure, you add more to the back end, and
Yep.
I just don't think the Broncos want to add more years to Russell Wilson's contract.
and the thing about the restructure is it doesn't matter who it is. Well, it does. So if you were to restructure Justin Simmons this year, for example, it would mean that if you cut him or trade him before the end of the season, you don't save any money because you've already. Well, you'd save like $500K, but you wouldn't really save any money because you've already given him the money for the season. That's all that really changes with a restructure is that you don't save money moving on from before the start of the next year. So it doesn't matter if they restructure the Russell Wilson contract or the Justin Simmons contract or the Courtland Sutton contract, although that you could get more out of the Russell Wilson contract because the salary is bigger, but it doesn't matter who it is. It's all just accounting. It's just straight accounting.
James said, with RK wearing a green jacket, did the Buffs trade him to CSU? I have to say this.
Actually,
First
he
of all,
signed
not
there
even
himself.
close to the green that CSU uses. Second of all,
I don't know.
CSU isn't
That
even
looks
a
like it.
top 5 thing I think of when I look at the color green. Like, to Nebraska's credit, they're in my head. When I see red, first thing I think of is Nebraska. When I see green, I don't think about CSU at all.
Or is that just you trying to disrespect CSU?
No, I
even
just
more?
don't. Like, I just don't.
By the way, cool jacket. I do like it, just like I like Hank's bomber jacket, but that is very similar.
That is kind of
similar,
on the
Ryan.
money.
It's similar.
Yeah, sorry. Like I said, I don't
There you
even.
go. It's the exact same,
See,
actually.
you can tell.
Think of CSU before you think of the 1990 Rapids. When you think of green?
What?
Yes.
What are the Rapids?
It's like.
Sorry, you're here.
It's like, it's like Eagles #1, St. Patrick's Day #2.
Oh, it's a big day for the green jacket then.
Yeah, exactly.
Masters?
The Masters.
Yep, yep.
oh, grass.
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 Weed.
Weed.
yeah.
Money.
Oh, wow.
I really don't think about
We're outside
college
Michigan
much.
State.
Wow. We're outside top 5. If you want to say CSU, you're fine now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still just thinking of things.
Baylor?
I hate Baylor. so
Miami?
much. I actually like CSU more than Baylor.
Wow.
Wow. You did.
Shout
wow.
out CSU.
I mean, that puts him. Yesterday, you were
You gotta
bashing
clip
Baylor.
that.
That really
I
puts
actually like CSU. Just clip
it.
that right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah. Sorry. Does not enter green chili. Great one.
Yeah.
Does not enter my mind.
I have. Yeah.
Speaking of green, do you think of green beer?
Oh,
I'm about to. We
We've
have
got
$1 green beers from now until noon.
time to
Get here.
pack those in.
It's a Friday too. So
Yep.
it's the weekend.
Yep. Brought some heartburn meds just in case.
Nice. Those are gonna
Things
be
you
big.
do when you're 31.
Yep. I hope. Do you think it's gonna turn my teeth green?
Let's find out right now.
Yep.
Do
Literally
we have
right
any
now.
comments on the website? We got them all?
We got him.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for us. Appreciate you guys for tuning in this week. We will be back with you next week. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy March Madness. We'll see you later.